Dodge Dart Sport 73, installation of SPC upper control arm and front suspension. So yesterday arrived SPC upper control arms for my Dodge Dart Sport. It's a 73 and I'll be trying to install those today and make a quick video how it went, so you guys have a little bit of a knowledge in practice how to get those on a car and get the front suspension realigned. So I've got wheels removed. First eccentric bolt has been removed. Checking where that bolt fits into the arm. Fits okay. It's quite tight here, so that's a good sign. Next thing, we'll be removing the whole existing upper control arm and trying to fit this new one, making sure this width here matches and fixes into the width of the port here into the within the body. Bolts removed. Existing control arm disconnected from the frame. We just have this bolt remaining. We'll have to disconnect that one before moving on. So far, so good. The arm has been removed. Went out without any major problems. Just a few knocks with a hammer on both sides. Here and here. And we got it out. And this is a quick comparison how long the arms can stretch. Have a look how much longer the arms can be than the original control arm. And this is the shortest setting. So as you can see, I guess it's much more adjustment ability than the original eccentrics. And with assembly, just to make sure that the dust seal is properly seated, so I need to just pull it over the ring, make sure it's seated nicely as on this side. And so we have a little bit of issue here. This is the width of the upper control arm here, almost 49 millimeters, and this is the original one here. Now you see it's a little bit shorter here on the bushing, so we'll have to figure it out how to squeeze that one into the frame here. You might need to bend the socket in the frame to allow this wider bushing here of the new control arm. So after a little bit of persuasion with this builder's tools, I've got the first bushing in. So wasn't too difficult though, but required me about additional 5 minutes of work. But now I'll be moving into the side. And the second bushing is already in. Again, had to use a little bit of persuasion. That went well enough. Scratched a little bit of paint, but that's okay, not a very big deal. So I've got both in. It's tight, but not to the end, so I can move it and readjust it later on. Now we'll be connecting the arm to the bushing, and then next thing we'll be doing a pre-adjustment. Just one thing to notice, I did the eccentric such that the bushings are the furthest way out on both sides. This way, when I will be adjusting the new control arm, more bolt will be within this connecting connecting nut, if you like, and thanks to that, perhaps it will be stronger as a whole component. And if I run out of adjustment ability in here, then I will move the eccentrics to the other side. That will give me additional bit of adjustability if I need it, but I presume I will not need it. Okay, so after installing the first left side upper control arm from SPC, we see a bit of problem here. This part here, the bushing part, gets very close to this element on the frame. Perhaps we'll have to cut it out a bit here. And also what I've noticed on the right side, bolt gets very close here as well, so that when suspension is moved all the way down and be supported by this bumper here, the bolt may touch the frame, so I might need to just reverse this bolt and put it upwards and put the nut on the top side. So I need to get grinder and cut it out here before moving on. As they say, safety first. We've got everything ready here. We'll be cutting this bit off, and my assistant is ready with a lighter, so wish us luck. And after cutting the bit out, we see that the movement of this part should not be obstructed anymore. Should be fine. So hopefully this will work. So we tested the upper control arm by suspending the car by the front bumper and relaxing our jack here. So now the suspension is free. And what we've noticed is this: the upper control arm did not reach the bumper here. So we presume that what's holding the suspension right now, after full relaxation, is the shock, because we cannot see any other places here that would hold either the upper control arm or the lower control arm. Now, when it comes to clearances, our issue here has gone. We've got a nice clearance here after cutting out a bit of the support element, and also on the other side we are okay here. The bolt we've reversed up, and it does not appear we're gonna have any issues here. We got plenty of clearance on this rear side of the upper control arm, so it should be fine now. I'm a little bit worried for the suspension to be limited by the shock, not by the bumper here, but since this car is not for a racetrack, maybe it will be fine and we'll not have any issues with that. So now we'll be moving to the other side. After greasing the joints and the bushings there, it's always good to put some dust caps for protection over the greasing ports. This did not come as part of the kit, so I had to buy them separately. I have a few different sizes here and there. Make sure they fit nicely and tightly, won't go loose and come off during the exploitation of the car. One of those interesting things is that when you are using your eccentric bolts, we'll try to get it sharp. You see, depending how well these bolts are made, sometimes you have this kind of manufacturing defect which protrudes beyond the diameter of the bolt a little bit, but that's enough for a bolt not being able to go through. So simple fix is just to grind it off. And after grinding, this is how it looks. So that should be good enough to go through. One thing to notice is that on the adjusting arms, you have on the thread, you have a mark. A bit of thread is shaved off, which I presume indicates maximum range of adjustment. You perhaps go beyond that one, that thread, that shaved thread with your adjustment, perhaps the arm will not be as strong as it should be. So didn't read the instruction, to be honest. I didn't get any instruction in the books, but I presume this is why this this shave is here. I noticed that the greasing points are not tightened by the factory, so I've just made sure they are properly tightened, and as I mentioned before, we'll put nice rubber caps on them to protect them. So this is the right side complete. I'll try to put some light in here. Again, as on the left side, I've put that bolt upside down. Make sure there is enough clearance between the bolt and the bottom and the top of the frame in here. I hope you can see that. Maybe this way. There you go. So that's the clearance here. That I believe will be sufficient right now. Otherwise, you will have the nut and the bolt protruding further down and possibly touching the top of the frame. On the right side, I did the same stuff as on the left side. I've removed a bit of the bracing part here that supports the front bushing. Maybe on this side there was not as bad as on the left side, but I still removed a little bit of it using a grinder. Maybe about 7mm or something on the top and almost nothing at the bottom. So this bolt is normally installed. Again, I've put this rubber protection. Just pre-tightened it at the moment. We'll try to do realignment and then we'll retighten those bolts to the specification I found on the YouTube instruction how to that says how to install a similar upper control arms to this ones, and there is a specification given for the torque for those bolts, so I will follow that video on YouTube. That's how it looks from the rear, and from the front, and the lower arm original here, gas shocks. Hopefully it will be easy to adjust, and also the adjustment range will be much more to what the factory upper control arms and the eccentrics could give. As you can see, you almost can rotate it by hand. Obviously it's in the air right now, so it's easier, but it's gonna be much easier to adjust these ones as your car is on the wheels than the eccentrics. Much more precision. So that's the complete right side driver's hand upper control arm on the right side. And last thing I forgot to mention when I was doing the left side is this upper joint. I think it's screwed to this part. It happens that I have a special tool for that one, and it's exactly the same as for the original upper control arm. So I've just made sure it's tightened, but it won't even move. So I believe factory tightness is appropriate, so that should be it. I just forgot to mention that I got this upper control arms from Peter at Bergman Autocraft.